Hi folks, so we're back with this Marantz 2265B. If you recall, where we left off with it was there was a lack of sensitivity on the FM in the front end, and after looking at it, I decided I was going to replace both the MOSFETs in the front end. These are dual gate MOSFETs, and I ordered some on eBay. Now many people will tell you correctly to be very careful about ordering semiconductors on eBay because counterfeits are rampant. But there are a few recommended sources. I have successfully ordered parts from Dalbani, who happens to be near me down in Miami. And also, I got these from Ctron, Consolidated Electronics Incorporated. And I'll put the URL up there. Steve has never burned me on semiconductors. Everyone I've gotten has worked as advertised. I think he manages to find a lot of new old stock. Don't know how he does it, but just grateful he does. So, the other thing is, I did not take this apart to verify the part numbers before I placed the order. And as many of you know, is a good way to get burned. Very often your service manual or schematic will not match the unit on your bench. And indeed, when I started to look at this, the P200 board, which has the IF stages and the multiplex, did not in any way resemble the unit on the bench. And after doing some research online, a popular audio forum I belong to, gentleman there said, yeah, I had the same problem. Some of the 2265Bs use the 200 board from the 2330. And indeed, when I got the service manual for the 2330, he was correct. That matched this board. So, what we're going to do now is I'm going to take the tuning wheel off. I had previously marked it because I pulled the tuner up to touch up the solder joints. So we're going to have to do that. And I'll show you how I do that. And then we're going to change out this MOSFET. So, be right back. Oh yeah, and by the way, you may see me trip, and I say it's the camera. It's not always the camera. Sometimes I'm tripping on this big girl. You got to be right underfoot. Okay, so you may have seen me do this before, but basically what I do is I have a mark here on the shaft and on the pulley so I can line this up again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen these two screws, which may necessitate moving this. There, now we can get to both the screws easily. And then I'm going to pull this off, and I'm going to use this piece of duct tape here to stick the wheel here, keeping tension on the tuning string so I don't have to restring it, because I may have mentioned this to you, I really don't like restringing tuners. So we loosen these screws like this, and like I said, I had already done this once because I've had luck in the past with simply touching up the solder joints on the bottom of the front end with restoring sensitivity, but not so here. Alright, so we just kind of move it like that, keep tension on it, take our piece of duct tape, and we tape it down like that. And that'll keep our tuner string taut and keep us from having any problems with having to restring it. I once heard that duct tape is like the Force. It has a light side and a dark side, and it holds the universe together. Very handy stuff. Okay, so I'm wearing a wrist strap. I don't worry about ESD too much because I'm located in South Florida in the US, and it's a very, very humid climate. For those of you who live in places where the weather gets cold in the winter, know that you have a lot worse static issues in cold weather when you go around your house and touch things and get shocked from static. High humidity helps mitigate that. That said, these FETs are $10 each, and I have to wait for him to be shipped there, so I don't want to take any chances. I'm simply erring on the side of caution. I have my grounded wrist strap connected to the earth ground of my scope, so I know it's going to ground. So I have gone in the back here and unsoldered what I believe is all the terminals for this FET. So let's see if this thing's going to come out, and let's see if we got the right part numbers. Now I notice the tab is facing the front, and our part number is 3SK45. Fortunately, I did get one of those, and that may have been the one that was $12, not $10. Anyhow, let me get the razor blade I just dropped. Steve sends these in an ESD safe bag taped to a piece of cardboard. So let's see if we can get this out without mangling it too badly. Oh, and stapled, or is that just the bag? Okay. All right, so we're gonna cut the bag open and see which one is our 3SK45. Okay. That would be this one. Okay, I'm going to turn the camera off while I put this back in, and then we'll see what we get. Okay, so I fired this thing up after putting everything back together, and I have much better sensitivity. This is my generator outputting 5 microvolts. Before, I was lucky to get anything with 50 microvolts, so it looks like the FET really peaked up the sensitivity here. Now, I only replaced the first one because I had done some voltage checks, and it's really hard to see with my crappy handwriting here, but the gate here marked as 4.4 volts was actually giving me 12.2. I checked the voltages here. I didn't find anything untoward. I did not mark anything, so I only changed the first FET, even though I bought both. You can see it is far better than it was. I have good sensitivity, and this is right at the base of the band. Let's see, that's 87.5 megahertz. If we go all the way to the other end, and we set our generator to 109 megahertz. Let's see how close we are. Okay. Now you'll find that when you were touching up tuning capacitors, they are far touchier than the tuning coils used on the lower end. So let me see if I can get this. You can see there's a radio station here. I'm coming out, by the way, of the tape outputs. Okay, I'm also going to turn up the amplitude on the generator and see if maybe that's why I'm not seeing it. This is basically touching up the local oscillator, low and high end. There it is. There's our sine wave. There, it's really touchy up here. And I did have to turn up the gain on the generator, but only to 15 microvolts, so it wasn't that bad. Now you have to go back and forth between the two extremes, 87.5 and 109. This generator will allow me to set it up so I could just hit one button to go between, but I'm just, oh, that's very nice. Let me drop the amplitude. All right, that's 3 microvolts. Again, we had nowhere near that kind of sensitivity before. So before I go through the rest of the alignment, I'm going to connect this up just so you can hear the difference it makes picking up stations. We'll take a look at the signal strength meter as well. I expect this is going to make a big difference because now it appears to be even more sensitive than my test tuner. Okay, so I still have this standing on its side, and I just want to turn the volume up a little bit, and let's watch our signal strength. We're getting quite a bit more signal strength than we were getting previously.
That will allow the Antichrist to be so trusted and to gain all that.
Yeah, we're already above 2 on the dial. Those are fairly strong stations.
Like boo-boos you have snuck in snacks she wasn't supposed to have.
He got egg on his face, and people are questioning so many things about him. Election week.
Okay, that's my generator. Let's turn that off.
Free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com. Combs have been.
You can see it's a very strong station there. Now the stereo indicator is not working, so what I've done is I have put the tape outputs, which were previously connected, and I have the scope in XY mode, and you can see what I refer to as the hairball. When we go off tuning, that's mono. When we get stereo reception, we get the hairball. And you can see that's because there's a difference between the left and right signals. Here there's not. And when we get it tuned in right, we get stereo. So this has responded very well to having the front end FET replaced. I think I am going to stop this video here. We've got the FM straightened out. If there's any more problems, I will post another video. Other than that, this should be a straight rebuild. You know what, instead of stopping this here, I'm just going to check out the phono channel. I don't recall if I checked that. I don't watch my own videos that much. So let's connect that and see what we get. Okay, so I'm feeding a 10 millivolt signal into the phono inputs. As you can see, we have good clean output. I don't believe there's anything else wrong with this unit. Should I find anything else wrong, I will post another video, but I think we can call this guy done for now. The rest of the rebuild process is going to be fairly pedestrian, and I don't really see any point in putting a video out of that. There's a lot more interesting things to do. Coming up, when I get the next piece that is dead or has a blown channel or will come out of protection, we are going to do the Harbor Freight Challenge. I've got the meter here, and we'll see if I can do that. And I also want to get some videos up there on the basics. So that's the plan for now, and this looks good. Replacing that single MOSFET at the front end, restored sensitivity. So that's all we're going to do now. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. I learned a few things along the way. And as always, I like giving back to the community that's given me so much. Thanks a lot, folks.